Hey guys, Gary Rogers, Noggin Doctor again. We're going to continue our 15-part series on myths and misconceptions and Plagiocephaly and torticollis. This one is one of my favorites. It's the idea that it's thrown out by helmet companies a lot, is the idea that uncorrected plagiocephaly or brachycephaly will somehow lead to any number of functional or aesthetic consequences. So things like, you'll see helmet companies talk about, you won't be able to wear, your child won't be able to wear a helmet, they won't be able to wear a hat, they won't be able to fit in glasses normally. They'll have TMJ dysfunction, jaw dysfunction, crossbite. You'll hear people talk about developmental delay. You know, your child's going to end up with a developmental delay if they don't get this corrected. There's even one study out there on ear infections in kids, which is a bad study, never been replicated. But, you know, all of these things are out there. The problem with that is that there really are not any good long-term studies to support that. There is studies early on that suggest an association with developmental delay in plagiocephaly, but most people in the field believe that kids with delays get flat for the same reasons kids with torticollis get flat, is that they don't move as well. It's not because the plagiocephaly caused delays. If that were true, if plagiocephaly caused developmental delays, of course we would have seen a massive spike in development issues following the Back to Sleep campaign. It didn't happen. It hasn't happened in countries where, like in Asia, where people back sleep historically forever, or Latin America. We don't see declines in IQ, declines in intelligence, cognitive dysfunction related to these kinds of head shape issues. That's not true with cranial synostosis. That's a whole different topic. But deformational flattening does not cause impairment of the brain. There's no data to suggest that whatsoever. On the same note, it doesn't cause visual problems. There's one study in the literature way back when suggested it caused visual problems. I actually reviewed that study and offered to reject it, but they put it in anyway. And the problem with that study is that what they were calling plagiocephaly wasn't really even plagiocephaly. A lot of these kids had very minor asymmetries and things, and this is a very selected group of kids. The same thing with the ear infection study that was done out of Wake. I love the group down there, very good scientists, but they have a very selected group of kids that come to that hospital for management. So you're looking at a study bias. And it's never been replicated, by the way. There's never been another study to show that kids with plagiocephaly are more prone to ear infections. And empirically, that's not panned out either. So let's go on to TMJ dysfunction. So, you know, there is no question that if you have enough plagiocephaly, the symmetry, that you can have shifting your TMJ on the affected side forward. And that's true, the jaw moves the jaw to the contralateral side. So you can get a crossbite and TMJ movement. The issue is, does that persist? And while there's early studies to show, studies done on very young kids that show there can be a crossbite early on in the context of plagiocephaly, those studies do not show after age of mixed dentition, which is between 6 and 12 years of age, and after the permanent teeth come in, that those things persist. And we also, again, did not see an epidemiologic rise following the Back to Sleep campaign. We saw this massive increase in plagiocephaly, did not see a rise anywhere in the literature of TMJ dysfunction or crossbite for that matter. So these things empirically don't pan out, and they simply don't make any sense in terms of what we see day to day. We also see lots of countries around the world where brachycephaly and the head asymmetries are much more common. Back to sleep, again, back sleeping has been practiced in some parts of the world forever. It's been a new thing in the West since 1992, but if you look at these countries, like go to parts of Asia, China, Korea, other places where they've historically backslept, Peru, parts of Latin America, Eastern Europe, you don't see any of these functional consequences from this at all. There's nothing in terms of helmet wear. There's no data that people of Korean ancestry who have relatively more brachycephaly than, say, people who are Caucasian or African American, you don't see any data that suggests they can't wear glasses and helmets. In fact, my colleague in my surgical practice is Korean, and he's significantly more brachycephalic than I am culturally, and he wears helmets and skis and bike helmets, and I've asked him this question flat out, and other people as well, that there's just no data to support the fact that you can't wear helmets, or that conventional helmets don't fit you, or you have to get special helmets and things like this. So when we get down to the root of it, this is all sales hype, and really has very little validity either in literature or empirically. So, okay.